Hello, my name is Moishe. When I wrote this, I was a 14-year-old boy living in Germany. This is the story of my experiences living through the Holocaust. From the age of 7, I had already begun helping in the family business. Whether it was helping customers, unpacking new inventory, or even mopping the floors of my father's market, I had always been proud to be a part of what my father had worked so hard to put together. I loved watching my father interact with all of the customers. It made me happy to see him doing what he loved to do. One day after school, I had walked in to see my father wearing a funny looking yellow armband. All that afternoon, on my way to work, I had seen many people wearing a yellow band and was wondering what it was. I asked my father if this was another one of the latest fashion trends and if mother had told you to wear it. He chuckled briefly and explained to me how that as this morning all adult Jews had to wear them, and said, it's nothing, my boy, don't worry. But inside I could tell he really was worried. In the days that followed, less and less customers who were not Jewish shopped at my father's market. In the hallway at school one day, I had asked an old friend of mine why his family had stopped coming to shop in my father's store, and even as I approached him to ask, I knew something was strange. But after I'd asked him, he turned away and said with a tear in his eye, I'm sorry, Moishe. My parents told me I'm forbidden to be associated with people like you. I mean, people with yellow armbands. Jews. Goodbye, Moshe. Outraged, I had tried asking her why, but she had already walked away into the mass of students in the hallway. It didn't even make sense. Why couldn't we be friends? Just because of a silly yellow armband? That day, things got worse. In class, we had begun to learn about my people, the Jewish people. Initially, I had thought I must be misheard by my teacher. But as she continued, I couldn't believe the way the textbooks had stereotyped us as being the poison in society. She had shown the class pictures of what the typical Jew supposedly looked like. It was an illustration of a horrific, evil-looking people wearing yarmulkes with large noses. The pictures had made Jews look unhuman, like the freaks of society. Why were they thinking of us this way? I'm Jewish and I don't look like that. It's November 9th, 1938. German soldiers have attacked Jews all over Germany. As I write this, I am stuck hiding in the cellar with my family. Everyone is afraid. I hear the sounds coming from above in the streets. People screaming, gunshots, and more screaming. But this time it was not the shriek of fear, but rather the command of this German soldier, commanding soldiers to destroy storefronts, restaurants, temples, and more. A little less than a week ago, the market my father had owned and run for over 15 years was taken away from him by the German soldiers. As the days go by, the friendships my family had had for years with Gentile friends have disintegrated into nothing. Early this morning, we were all woken up by Nazi soldiers who were told to pack a bag of all of our essentials because in 2 hours we were to need to make our way down to the Jewish ghetto. We made our way down to the ghetto, but as we walked over, it felt as if it was raining hate. People were throwing apple cores and shouting, "Dirty Jew!" and other derogatory phrases. We arrived at our new address to find a rundown apartment. It smelled horrible as we walked through the corridor, but suddenly the smell of an amazing kugel filled my nostrils with joy. It was the first thing in a while that had put a smile on my face. I would stare out a window a lot, looking at the sad and depressed people walking on the busy street, who don't know what is to come. I would listen to the music as the old Yiddish folks would play. I started to become fond of their music, but I would see German soldiers often pointing and laughing at Jews as they walked by. God, I wanted to punch one of the Germans straight in the nose. The clothes they wore I would never forget. Their ankle and ankle boots, P-pattern trousers, MP-38 and SS tunic, and their steel helmets, how evil they looked. I am sitting on a wooden steel train, crunched in between two older men. It is very dark in here, but luckily a sliver of light is shining through the gaps in the wood. There's no bathrooms on this train, so it smelled like urine and crap in the cramped train. I don't know how much longer I can take this. Just this morning as my family and I were eating breakfast, German officers occupied our apartment in this lousy ghetto and dragged us to the main street where everyone was walking in a line. They told us to leave all of our belongings and that they were going to take care of it. Next thing I knew, I was separated from my sister and my mom. Two guards pushed my dad and I onto a train. One officer said, "You'll be much more needed where you're headed. There's more work there." God, I hope that place we are headed will be much more fun than this place, but I'm yearning to go home. Today we got off the train after a long ride. When I first got off, I couldn't really see anything. Maybe it's because I couldn't see a light for a long time. And also, I'm kind of hungry. The Germans didn't really feed us. Then we were led into a line where we waited to get checked in. By this time, my eyesight was better. Officers with dogs were walking back and forth. As we made our way to the front, an officer looked at us and wrote down on his paper, "Strong, healthy, and good for work." He then assigned us to go with the group on the right and printed our numbers onto our arms. My number was 21379. We were then led into the campgrounds. My first impression was this place smelled like burning skin. I remember the smell because one Friday night, as my father and I were celebrating Shabbat, I was lighting the candles and accidentally burned my pinky. Around me I saw people sitting and talking with tears running down their faces and pointing to a giant building with a chimney. Boy, there was so much smoke coming out of that chimney. I grabbed my papa's hand and looked up. There and then did I see my papa's emotion since a while. He had watery eyes and they were gazing at the chimney. He looked down at me and said, "Moshe, I see that you write in your journal a lot. I want you to keep writing and keep your journal very close to you." As we kept walking, I saw German soldiers beating an old man. I closed my eyes in fears that the Germans would see me too and beat me as well. My hands are so worn out, it hurts to even think about writing. I haven't had much time to write in my journal lately. Every day, the German officers wake us up early and assign us to different jobs. Since I am still young, they assign me to dig trenches because I am small. The Germans don't give me tools to dig with, and they make me dig with my hands. My papa was assigned to dig tunnels. The other day, I was marching back from work. It was around noon, and I saw a bunch of people huddled in a group, quietly praying. I could see fathers holding their sons tightly in their arms. When I first arrived, I thought everyone was happy because they were praying. Before all this tragedy, I would go to temple and pray with my family. I used to pray, being I was used to prayer being a moment of happiness. I started to shove and push people to make my way through the huddled mass. As I got closer, I could see more distinctively the sadness and the darkness in the people's faces. My heart started to pound more rapidly than ever before. I clutched my knuckles as I got to the front. I saw the bodies of a young boy and girl hanging from two noses. Immediately, my body went stiff. I couldn't move and I just stared. How terrible it was to die such a tragic death. But at least they're up with God, somewhere peaceful and not depressing.